So now here we are. Prophets, how you doing, brother? Good to see you. I'm glad I was able to get in here and talk to you. And hello, Colleen O'Sullivan, my dear friend. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. I know it's a Sunday night and you all have a lot of stuff to do, and I appreciate you coming in here. I really do. And as I usually do, I'm just going to gather some people in. And I expect to have a few people here. But I've got a couple of announcements I want to make, and I don't want to make them until I get a few more people in here. So let's just, for the people who are going to be watching this on the replay, if you're not a subscriber, I'd ask you to subscribe. I want everybody to hit the like button, either on your way in or on your way out. It doesn't matter to me, but hit that like button. It means a lot. That puts us on the to see list a little higher, or the suggested or recommended list. Leave me comments on my videos. Talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking about. You know, if you like my videos, hit the bell icon. Yeah, I know I don't understand that, Colleen, about the notifications. You know, I mean, they're more high tech than anything I could ever dream of, and yet they can't put notifications out on time. Hello, Linda. How are you doing, dear? Glad to see you. Cornbread Burgess. I'm doing great, and I hope everyone in here is doing great as well. Glad to see you, Cornbread. And Linda Horner, Colleen, thank you. Prophets was the first one in here. Believe me, if I could afford it, Prophets, I'd every time somebody comes in here first, I'd send them something. Hello, Margot. How are you doing? Glad to see you here. I can always count on the people that are here right now. And Shonda, good to see you. I'm glad you're in here. I've missed you, my dear friend. I need to talk to you on the phone sometime, so call me. It's always good to talk to you. You know, I've talked to a lot of people. I was talking on the phone this morning with Liberty Smith, and I was talking on the phone with Dangerous Freedom. And Dangerous Freedom got a new camera this week, so we were wanting to test it out, and so we did a private StreamYard deal. Hello, Sam. How are you doing? Jervis, glad you're here. Dangerous Freedom and Dangerous Freedom contacted Disabled Vets Perspective, and Alex joined us. So we had three of us on a private StreamYard, just testing everything out for Dangerous Freedom, and we had a good time. So we decided that this Friday, we're going to have a live stream on my channel at 8 p.m. as always. But I'm going to have Dangerous Freedom and Alex from Disabled Vets Perspective on my show Friday night at 8 p.m. And I'm not so sure if it's going to be a panel or if it's going to be three good friends getting together and sharing some time with y'all. Texas Rider, glad to see you here. Vince Dunn, glad to see you too. And Sam, it's always good to see you, Sandra, always. Texas Rider, I don't know if I've seen you here before, but if I missed you, it's just because once I get started, American Warhorse, my brother, thank you for being here. But Texas Rider, like I said, if I've missed you in the past, it's because when I get started on these spiels of mine, sometimes I don't take time to look at the chat and see who's here. Like Benny, Colleen, Texas Rider, glad you're here. Hang around. I've got some pretty good stories I want to talk about tonight. And I'm going to let just a few more people get in here before I get started. You know, I hope y'all are willing to listen and to hear what I have to say tonight. I'm going to tell you the things I'm going to bring tonight are the truth. It's the total truth. And I'm going to just start off and I'm going to try to explain some things about the Democratic Party. Actually, it's the Democrat Party. As far as I know, there's no such word as Democratic, really. So they either demon rat or they're not. But we've got a Vince. Oh, Vince Dunn. How are you, brother? And CLC in Florida. Glad you're here. Good deal. We've got enough people to get started, I think. But because this may go over a little bit. I hope not. But I've got a lot. Willman 757. As long as I can see you before I get started, I'm going to shout you out. And I'll promise I'll try to pause and look at the chat and give all of you the shout outs that you deserve. Darla, glad you're here. Manny, thank you, brother. Willman 757, man, glad you're here too. Dollar Tidwell. We've got great people in here. So I'm going to get started. And like I said, I just want you to bear with me, and I'll try to tie all this somehow together by the end. I want to talk about 189 years of truth. And the 189 years of truth I want to talk to you about is the 189 years of the Demon Rat Party since 1830. You know, Andrew Jackson, the 7th president of the United States, you know, he rose to the occasion, and he began the Demon Rat Party. Get this, I don't understand this part. Maybe somebody out there, maybe History Bee will come in here and can straighten me out. But he gave rise to the Democrat Party as an offshoot to, get this, the Democratic Republican Party. Now, can you believe that? That was actually a party as an offshoot from the Democratic Republican Party. I guess that as far as I could find, conservatives back then were more or less known as Federalist or Jefferson followers. But hey, how you doing there, Iron Man, 2K Power? Glad to see you, DM. Fred Knott, Jeff Brandow. Thank you, people, for showing up tonight. It's great to see you. I was just talking a little bit about our 7th president, Andrew Jackson, and how he actually founded the Democrat Party from the Democratic Republican Party. Man, I wish History Bee was here. Maybe she could tell me how that all evolved, but it's a long story. But the Dems were a powerful party in the southern states, and they supported the expansion of slavery. You know, and they wanted the removal of all Native Americans in the South. You know, it's so easy to see that the Dems haven't changed much over the years. They're always wanting somebody else's stuff to give to someone else. Well, as I go on here, you'll see what I'm talking about. You know, right now they're trying to take from you and I, you know, trying to take our tax dollars and give it to these illegal aliens and to all these causes, you know, even to abortion clinics and Planned Parenthood. No, we don't need to be giving our tax dollars for that kind of stuff, my friends. No, but it happens. And that's what's happening in the Democrat Party today. But back then, they attacked it in a different manner, but in the same fashion. If that makes any sense. That might be an oxymoron. I don't know. But get this. The Democrats of today are just fine with attacking our elected president, our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, along with the murder of millions of preborn babies. Dems are the godless people with no desire to be honest, and they don't know how to stand with American values. And they can't understand we Americans who have values and morals and ethics. Now, the Dems believe that they know what's best for all Americans, but they especially have concerns on how to keep our borders open. You know, they want to open our border on this between Mexico and the United States. They want to open that border, and they want to let everyone in the world who wants to cross to come right on in. Well, my friends, you all know as I do that a nation without borders is no longer a nation. So that's what the demon rats are wanting to do, is to destroy this nation at the expense of you and I. In a little bit, I'm going to show you how the Dems did it back in the day and who they attacked then and how they made their redistribution of wealth possible. But right now, the Dems say that there is no deep state. You can ask any of them, ask Pelosi or Schiff or Chuck U. Schumer or any of them. They'll say, oh, there is no deep state. But the problem in D.C. is not just a deep state. You know, that's not the entire problem. According to them, it's that shallow man, the untruthful man, the vain man, and the vindictive man who is now president and he sits in the White House. You see, that's the evil one. That's the one that we need to watch out for. It's not these demon rats who are undercutting and lying and cheating and conning, flat out lying to the American people. These people are satanic. How anybody could do what these demon rats do or are doing today, it's ludicrous. I mean, it's like they're grabbing for straws. Is this their last hurrah? I don't know. What are they going to do next? You know, they've tried ever since is the day that he became president. They have tried to impeach this man on one thing or the other. You know, the Mueller thing, the Stormy Daniels thing, the oh my God, the Manafort thing, and the everything. They wanted to get rid of this man. And according to my research and the people I've talked to who supposedly know these kind of things, they tell me that there's been at least 12 attempts on his life since he became president. From what I understand, he wears a slimmed down version of a bulletproof vest. I don't know if that's true or not. I certainly would hope he would, because there are those evil demon rats that'll go so far as to murder. And people, you know as well as I do, we have people in the Democrat Party that are guilty of murder. We know they are. We just can't prove it. But we know what's happening. One dirty, rotten imbecile, spirit dancer, Texas Rider. You're right. It's all a distraction for the 2020 election. You got it, brother. That's what it's all about. Chris Link, glad you're here. Willman 757, I'm glad you're still here, brother. I'm going to try to get through this because, to be honest with you, I have some other information that I really want to get to you. But there is an active deep state bureaucracy in our country who has never pledged our flag. They have never stood by our Constitution, and they don't care about you and me. You know, it's pretty clear the deep state wants us to believe that they're honorable and they only want good for America. Oh, my goodness. President Trump calls the deep state. They're not protecting the American people or the Constitution. The deep state is a powerful, negative force in America. And that's what our president thinks of it. He thinks of it as a powerful, negative source. And what more could be negative than to be satanic, to be godless? You know, these leftist, progressive, socialist, Satanists, they worked tirelessly to overturn a legal election way back in 2016. And that's all they want to do is either get rid of this president and then overturn the 2016 election. And people, they're grabbing at straws. If you look behind me, I'm well prepared. That flag up there, I guess it's over there, is a 3%er flag. This is an American flag over there. You got to get used to that opposite stuff. But anyway, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm a patriot, and I'm willing to take this thing. It's loaded. That's Dangerous Freedom. He saw me today. I pulled the clip out and showed it to him. It's loaded. And it's ready to go. And I'll defend myself, and I'll defend my home, and I'll defend my country till my dying breath. That's what we do as patriots. You know, none of us want to die. None of us want to get involved in a shootout. None of us want to be, put in a position to have to kill another human being. But people, with stuff like I'm telling you right now, This is all a lead up to a big explosion somewhere down the road. It can't continue this way. This is a powder keg, and God only knows when or how it's going to happen. But people, we are never going to be able to come together in cooperation with these demon rats. They'll never do it. No matter what they say, maybe they'll say they'll meet us in the middle of the road, and then as soon as we turn our back, they stab us. That's what the demon rats do. You know, how dare us to think for ourselves? We're expected to be sheeple, people. That's what they expect us to be. It's sheeple. Just like the sheeple that follow them. But we don't. Because we know that there's a God, and we respect our Constitution and our government and our president. And I'd venture to say that 99% of everybody here right now would stand strong, shoulder to shoulder, if it came down to it, for a real fight. You know, that might be where we're heading. You know, the media is more than happy to go all in for that shifty little Adam shit. Pardon my French, but that's what he is. You know, after he lied to the world and made up the reading of President Trump's phone call with the president of Ukraine. Can you believe this man? He actually got up there and he told a bald-faced lie from his chairmanship position on the Intelligence Committee. And now this guy is conducting the impeachment process, I guess, with Pelosi on President Trump. The last two times that we had an impeachment in this country, with Nixon and then with Clinton, there was always a vote in the House. We all know that. But not only that, I mean, here we have Adam Schiff in the Intelligence Committee, and it's supposed to be the Judiciary Committee, if I said that right, the Judiciary Committee, who is involved in this. So you see, it's crooked from the very beginning. And it's doomed to fail. Trump's going to tear them up, and they don't know what they're going to do next. And that's what we have to worry about. But you know, the media many times lie about most anything. Doesn't matter what it is. They'll tell a lie, just like Adam Schiff. But you know, it's not only about the one-sided comments that these mainstream media propagandists make. It's what they leave out. You know, and they usually leave out one thing: the truth. And that's what the MSN and these demon rats do. I'll be done with that. But I'll tell you, it gets to my craw. One dirty, rotten imbecile, Maggie Moses, glad you're here. Yeah, we have to believe in Trump, my friend. Thank you. And Vince Dunn, so glad you're here. I like 22s also. Seems safer for the bystanders. Well, I'll be honest with you. A 22 is a little more dangerous than you think it is. A 22 travels at a pretty good rate of speed. And if it doesn't hit anything between here and there, it's going to hit something out there. So if you miss with a 22, it's going to go a long way. But you're right. But there's so many people killed with a 22, especially back when I was growing up. You know, the 38 Special was about the biggest thing you had going back then, maybe a 41 Magnum. But everybody had a 22. Everybody did. They had rifles. They had pistols. I mean, I had a 22 Magnum pistol, you know, and I carried it around for years when I lived in Kansas. But I'm a big 9mm guy. I used to be a 40 caliber guy, but the ammo got so outrageous. And I have a inside track on some 9mm ammo that I can get, so I'm swapping everything over to 9mm. But as long as you're armed, that's the main thing. It doesn't matter if it's well, I guess it does if it's an airsoft gun, you know, a pellet gun. You don't want one of them. But there's nothing wrong with having a 22 for really close-in protection. But you have to think about home defense, you know, and not just a handgun. You need to think about getting maybe a home defense shotgun, or picking up, you know, some kind of carbine, you know, that shoots 20 rounds. I would recommend that everybody be armed. I have some friends who are armed literally to the teeth and have thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo. I'm not quite that much of a gun guy. I love my guns, but I can't afford to spend that kind of money, to be honest with you. But I want to talk to you tonight. I talked to you about Andrew Jackson a few minutes ago. And I want to tell you something that Andrew Jackson did. I'm only in 20 minutes, so I'll probably get through this, I hope. But in the 1830s, nearly 125,000 Native Americans lived on millions of acres of land in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, and Florida. You know, this land had been occupied and cultivated for many generations by these Native Americans. You know, but by the end of the 1830s, very few Native Americans remained anywhere in the South or the Southeast USA. It was because of the white men. The white men wanted their land for themselves and their families to build plantations and grow cotton. Cotton was a big enterprise back then. It was a lot of money. You know, the federal government decided, in order to help the white man, and here's where I'm going to tie this in with the demon rats and all of their freebies. See, the federal government, under the direction of President Andrew Jackson, they decided to order to help the white man. All tribes of Indians in the Southeast were rounded up and their land seized, as the Indians were forced to leave their homeland and walk 1,200 miles or more to a specific designated location on an Indian territory across the Mississippi River. This was extremely difficult, and it was a deadly journey. It's known as the Trail of Tears. And I'm going to talk about that the rest of this show. So if you don't want to hear about the Trail of Tears, I suggest you tune me out. But I've got a lot to tell you, and I'll promise you everything I'm telling you is the truth. And a lot of people don't know this history. I'm blessed. I live in a place in the South, in Northwest Georgia, where I have, oh Lord, there's so many monuments from the Civil War, battlefields and national parks, and we have the Etowah Indian Mounds just about 30 miles from here, and we have the Trail of Tears not another 30 miles in the other direction. So there's a lot of history here. So I hope you'll bear with me and let me get through this. So I can catch up with myself. The federal government decided, in order to help the white man, that all tribes of Indians in the Southeast be rounded up, their land seized, as the Indians were forced to leave their homeland and walk 1,200 miles to a specific location, which happened to be Oklahoma. You know, the extremely difficult and deadly journey, it was emphasized by the cruelty. As you'll find out in all of this was all done by President Andrew Jackson. And I'll tell you now that Andrew Jackson is guilty of not only stealing Indian land from the rightful owners, Jackson is guilty of murdering every Native American who died as a result of the journey on the Trail of Tears. This was our 7th president. Doesn't he sound like a Democrat? Remember, I just told you at the beginning of this, he started the Democrat Party. See what the Democrats do? They don't care if they take away from the least, as long as they have something that the elite want. They do that today all the time. They steal, they con, they lie, and do everything they can to get money from almost everywhere. Just look at Joe Biden and his son. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But see, even back then, they were doing the same thing. But they didn't care who they were hurting as long as they, the white man, profited. You know, the white Americans often feared and resented the Native Americans that they encountered. To them, American Indians seemed to be an unfamiliar alien people who occupied the land that the white people wanted, and they believed that they deserved simply because they were white men. You know, in the early years of our republic, George Washington believed the best way to solve this Indian problem was simply to civilize the Native Americans. The goal of this civilization campaign was to make the Native Americans as much like white Americans as possible by encouraging them to convert to Christianity, which they did, and to learn to speak English, which they did, and to adopt European style of economics, which they did. Such as these individual ownerships of land. They owned their own land, and their property sometimes included slaves. So you see, George Washington wanted the Indians to become civilized. Well, there were the 5 tribes in the Southeast. It was the Cherokee, the Cree, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Seminole. And all of these tribes, all of them, became civilized. They even lived in houses. They had farms and plantations and owned slaves, had their own banks, their own newspapers. I mean, come on, they were speaking English. They were dressing like white men. They were doing everything that they could do to fit in, except change their skin color. Do you see what a racist? Oh, do you see how bad it could have been back then? It was terrible. It was horrific for the black slaves, no doubt about it. But they're not the only ones who were put in chains and driven like cattle across the country. You know, in the Southeast, like I said, the Chickasaw, Choctaw, Seminole, Creek, and Cherokee Indians, they embraced our customs and they did everything they could do to be like us. The Indians owned land in Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, North Carolina, and Florida. But the land was valuable and it was much, much more than just the land. You know, more and more the white settlers flooded into the region, and the more they came, the more the whites wanted the Indian owned land because there wasn't enough free land for them, because the Indians owned millions and millions of land that they were given in a treaty. There was a treaty signed, and they were given this land as theirs. But Andrew Jackson broke that treaty. Because I'll tell you what happened. The whites yearned to make their fortunes by growing cotton. And they didn't care how civilized these Indians were. They just wanted the Indian land and would do anything to get it. The whites stole livestock. They burned and they looted farms and towns. They committed mass murder and squatted on the land they didn't own. To solve the Indian problem, state governments joined in an effort to drive the Native Americans out of the South. States passed laws to end Indian sovereignty and to take their land. But get this is important. In 1832, the United States Supreme Court objected to these practices and affirmed that the native nations were sovereign nations. They were a sovereign nation inside of America, and they had immunity, they had everything that a sovereign nation would have. But they were denied that. The southern states were determined to take the Indians' land, and nothing would stop them from doing it, especially the Supreme Court. Who was going to enforce that law? Of course, you're not going to enforce the law. It doesn't give you what you want. And what you want is land that belongs to someone else. So what do? You demean them. You run them down. You tell lies. People are afraid of the red man. It's funny, they weren't afraid of him before you started your propaganda campaign. But that's what happened. Now leave it to the evil racist Andrew Jackson. I guess y'all can tell I don't care much for him. But leave it to the evil racist Andrew Jackson to fix the problem concerning Native Americans. President Johnson had long been an advocate for Indian removal, and as an Army general, he spent years leading brutal campaigns against the Cherokee in Georgia and Alabama, and the Seminoles also in Florida. That resulted in hundreds and thousands of acres of Indian land being given to white farmers. Hundreds of thousands of acres. That's what they wanted. They wanted to grow their cotton and build their plantations and buy their slaves and live like some kind of hierarchy here in the South. I was born and raised right here in Georgia. Ain't nobody no more Southern than me. But I'm going to tell you right now, slavery was wrong. I didn't live back then. I've never owned a slave. I never would if I could, I hope. But I'll tell you this much. Everybody who lives in America as an American citizen, who learns the language, adopts our ways of life and our values and our God and our Christianity, should have a right to live free in America. But not back in the 1830s. President Jackson continued his crusade by signing the Indian Removal Act. This one act is responsible for thousands and thousands of Native American deaths. The law required the U.S. government to negotiate removal treaties fairly and peaceably. No one was to coerce the native nations into giving up their land. You see, but they denied all that. Even though it was given down by the Supreme Court that they could not be coerced, they didn't coerce them. They put them in chains and drove them across 1,200 miles of rough terrain. President Jackson and his government simply ignored the letter of the law, and they forced Native Americans to vacate the homeland or face attack by the U.S. Army. Jackson flat told them, he says, either get in line, get in the chains, or we're going to attack you and we're going to kill you and your family and your kids. We're going to destroy you because we have an army and you are just a peaceful people. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Could you imagine living like a white man for decades and then all of a sudden it's not good enough anymore? When you look right down to it, you're just a red man. Same thing happened to the black man. I thank God I didn't live back then. I don't know. I might have been sucked into that same way of thinking if that's the way everybody was thinking, Liberty Smith, glad to see you. Freedom isn't free. Thank you, brother, for being here. But the proud Choctaw were the first to be expelled out of the South, and they were altogether removed. Every bit of their land was confiscated. Not one Indian from the Choctaw was left in the South. You know, this once proud Native American force were marched in chains while wearing chains with very little food and water, and help was non existent. You know, the government was taking them across this march, but they didn't provide them with their needs. They gave them just enough. How cruel. That's your American government. That's your seventh president, Andrew Jackson. You know, how could you imagine? Imagine today if the Democrats could do it. You know as well as I do what they would do. They would come to your door with a SWAT team. They would arrest you. They would take your weapons. They would take your food, your clothing, and anything else that you had that they might could use. And they would do it to every single house. You know, if you weren't a registered Democrat, you got a mark on your front door. That means, yeah, you're not going to live long. But you see, I'm not saying that's really going to happen, but that's what they wish they could do, just like they did to these poor Indians. You know, in 1836, the federal government drove the remaining Creek Indians from their land for the last time. 15,000 Creek Indians set out for Oklahoma in chains. And out of that 15,000, 3,500 did not survive the journey. In 1838, only about 2,000 Cherokee had left their Georgia home for the Indian Territory in Oklahoma. And then we got rid of Jackson as president, and Martin Van Buren came in. And he wanted to continue the same policies. And he wanted to push the Indians westward across the Mississippi River. He sent General Winfield Scott. If you've ever done any history, you've heard that name. And 7,000 soldiers forced the Cherokee into stockades at gun and bayonet point, while whites looted their homes and farms. Then they marched the Indians 1,200 miles to Oklahoma. Whooping cough, typhus, dysentery, cholera, and starvation became epidemic among the Indians on that trip. More than 5,000 Cherokees died on this journey. And people, the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to know that the Democrat Party is no different today than it was back then. I've got more to tell you about here, but there's really no need to go too deep into it. You know, because it's suffice it to say that there were a few Indians that escaped and they got away to North Carolina. And they are still there today. They actually have a reservation up there, and they have pretty much taken over the whole Smoky Mountain area, and I think it's well deserved. But you know, I'm going to get in the chat for a little bit. I got some AOC stuff that I might talk about here in a minute, but thank you, Jervis. I appreciate that. Matter of fact, I got some people in here. I was talking to Dangerous Freedom and Disabled Vets Perspective today. And if you'll notice right up there, there it is, right there. I have that little Powered by StreamYard logo up there. Well, that logo is nothing in itself to really worry about, but you have to look over to when it gets to your chat and when you go to your banners and to your brands and stuff like that, you're really restricted on what you can do. And I think a disabled vet told me it's like $25 a month. So if you'd care to donate to my channel so I can bring more to you, put up more information and have better panels and, you know, donate to my PayPal. You know, if you don't have it, that's totally fine. But I could use a few bucks. I'm on a fixed income, but I would really like to to do like Alex and to start making better live streams and better videos. And that's why we're here. You know, we're here to bring you the information. And I'm totally happy to keep going just like I am. Don't get me wrong. But it's always nice to, to look ahead and watch people and see how they grow with their channel and how they produce it and use it and how it turns out. And it's a learning process. At least it is for me. So anyway, I just wanted to touch over that and let you know that this isn't all roses and cream. There's a lot of work here. But I do have a couple other stories. Maybe one. I've done lost all kinds of stuff here, but it doesn't matter. You know, we've had so much going on in the news lately. Walrus Squad, Bobby would be the best hit. Well, no, not really, brother. I mean, I didn't even finish my story, but I thought I was running out of time. But I got time to finish that. So, uh, it's. I'll tell you, my grandmother was half Cherokee. That makes my mother a half, and that makes me supposedly a quarter or 3/16 or something, an eighth. I don't know. But from all my life, that's what I was saying earlier. By living here in this history-rich area of the country, um, I've always uh, known about the Indians. I mean, all my life, that's where we always went on vacation if we didn't go to the ocean. We would go to the mountains and we would go to these um, reservations and they would put on some fantastic um dances and uh, rituals and rites and things like that. And I loved it. It was uh, it was amazing. You know, I'd only seen Indians on TV, but now I saw Indians how they really were and how they dressed. They dressed authentic, and they were authentic in everything they did. And I had the opportunity to grow up going up there every summer and having the opportunity to talk to these people. Even as I grew up as a grown man, I'd go up there just for the day and just go up there and talk to some Indians and just talk to them about anything, mainly about the Trail of Tears and how the Cherokee has done so well in that area, and they really have. I mean, they've got casinos. They own pretty much the whole town of Cherokee, North Carolina. It's one shop after another after another. So they're making a dime, and they deserve every penny of it. And so living in a history-rich part of the country, I don't know if I'll be bringing you very much stuff on that kind of thing or not, but I would like to go to the Trail of Tears and maybe do a short walk. I wouldn't want to walk the whole 1,200 miles, but for sure. But there's a lot of things going on here. The Etowah Indian Mounds, and of course we have Kennesaw just up the street here. I talked about Kennesaw the other day in a video and about a I'm going to say it even though I don't like to say it, a Civil War era locomotive that was stolen from us, and it took us dang 100 years to get it back. But we finally got it back. They made a museum out of it. So I'm going to jump off of these topics and I'm going to jump over here on this. Um, I got to talk to you about this Alexandria Cortez, though. Out of all the news that I read about Shifty Adam Schiff and Pelosi and Trump and everything Kelly Conway had to say and Sean Hannity had to say and all that, it was all a repeat of everything. So until something happens, I'm not going to report on everything that everything else is already reported on. I mean, we know that Elizabeth Warren isn't a true Christian. American Joe pointed that out to us on his video. And by the way, Rooster Cogburn, glad you're here. Fred Knopp, Liberty Smith, my dear brother, Darla Tidwell, one dirty rotten imbecile. Let's see, it's showing I got 32 people in here. I don't know if that's right or not. I'm just guessing that that's what that number is up there. But I'm going to tell you, I have some great friends here like DM. DM is the best mod going. Uh, she's great. Don't get me wrong now. I love all my mods. They're all really good. I mean, Shonda, bless her heart, I love her, and Ashley and Jervis and all these other people. I've got so many I don't really know. Liberty Smith, I think Dangerous Freedom. So the mods don't show up on my chat. It doesn't show who they are. But anyway, I've got these mods, and they're here for a few reasons. But DM, bless her heart, she's super mod, at least in my opinion. She's a good friend, and you need to check her out. Her and History Bee on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. You got to check them out. History Bee, I mean, DM. You be sure. Uh, Actually, I wasn't reading from a book, DM. Um, Actually, I went through uh, several different avenues, and I just sort of compiled this. I didn't get it out of a book. Uh, if I had, it probably would have read better. But no, I didn't get it out of a book. I got it from just all over the place and different websites and stuff. And that's how I do it. I get an idea or a topic, and I'd research several different um, search engines and try to find what I can find on the topic. And that's just what I found on the Trail of Tears. But um, oh, a chatter was asking. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, DM, because I wasn't reading from a book. But anyway, write a book, Bobby. No, I don't think so. Uh, Broiled ham. Oh, he's talking. Is that what you're having, or are you talking about what I had this morning? I was talking to Dangerous Freedom this morning, and uh, while I was talking to him, I had a half-inch ham steak cooking in the oven on broil. So I thought maybe that's what he's talking about. You're right, Liberty Smith. DM is on Turbo Force. She's always 100%. You can always count on DM. She's loyal. She's true. She's honest. And like I said, check her and History Be out on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. You won't be sorry you did, I promise. I usually don't catch the stream, but I always go back and I watch the replay. So if you missed the stream, go back and watch the replay of DM and History B. We got all kinds of people. Sam Tampa, good to see you, Bobby. Thank you. All right, man. I'm glad to see you too, Sam. Florida Jim turned me on to Sam Tampa. He's a great young man. He's in college and he goes to school with a lot of liberals, and I'm sure he probably has a lot of liberal professors as well. So keep Sam Tampa in your prayers and go check him out. He gives us some good information, and for it coming from such a young mind, I guarantee you, it'll bless you. We need more young men like Sam Tampa. Katrina Stafford, uh, thank you. If you're signed up for a Cash App, would you donate to your channel? The only thing I have is PayPal. That's all I have, dear. Sorry. Um, I don't know how Cash App works. I'd have to check that out. But see, I never have been one to ask for donations, so it's sort of new to me to ask anybody to donate. But it was like one of my friends was telling me the other day. He says, "Well, if you could get everybody on your chat to donate $1, one video, that would be enough for the whole month." So, that's right. But then again, living on a fixed income, and believe me, I'm stretched to the limit. I bought this laptop and microphone, camera, all this stuff. I bought it on a credit card, so I've got to pay it. And, it's a lot of money. So I'm on a strict budget, but I'm going to keep coming to you no matter what. And I promise you, I'm not going to beg for money. I will mention it when I could use $1 here and there, but I'm not going to beg you for anything. But I got one real quick one I got to talk to you about. And it's heartbreaking. It's literally, I want you to get out your crying towel. I want you to get ready. because this is the saddest thing I've ever heard. Now, I'm actually playing Adam Schiff here. I'm actually telling you a lie. Uh, doesn't sadden me one bit, but listen to this idiocy. And this is uh, heartbreaking news from AOC. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, my favorite demon rat. Alexandria got all tore up and emotional on Friday as she talked about how climate change had affected her own little personal outlook on life. Her own little private life is being affected by climate change. So you see, people, it's not a society that's going to be harmed. Each and every one of you and I, as well as everybody else, we should all have a personal investment in climate change. I mean, it can determine our entire life. Oh my God, she makes me laugh. Well, get this crap, okay? She says, I speak to you not as an elected official or a public figure. Well, I got to stop there for a minute. This is total bull hockey. Everybody knows that. She loves to be in front of the camera. She loves to be in the limelight. She loves to flash her horse teeth and her big Adam Ship like eyes. You know, she looks like a frightened horse. That's what she looks like. Big eyes and big teeth hanging out. And she looks like a horse. That's why I call her one of the four horsewomen of the apocalypse. But you know, I speak to you as, uh, she says, but I speak to you as a human being. So she's not a public official or she's not an elected official, but she wanted to make sure that she got that in there, that she was an elected official and that she was a public figure, or she wouldn't have said anything about it. You know, she said, I speak to you not as, well, why don't you just say, hey, I speak to you as a human being and leave out the elected official and the public figure part? Because you wanted that part to be in there because you wanted to be a public figure, right? And you wanted everybody to know that you're an elected official. Good for you, AOC. You got it in there and you ran it right under these idiots and they didn't even see it. You know, she says, I'm a woman who dreams of motherhood, but now the taste is bittersweet because of what I know about our children's future. As she fought back her tears, people, she was crying. Her heart was broken. She was talking to the C40 group, whatever that is, of world mayors in a summit. I'm not sure even where the summit was, but anyway, and this summit recently approved her Green New Deal for at least 40 cities in the world. Ain't that something? Now, here's the big deal. And I want you to give me a break because I don't know where she's coming from here. Get this. She says, speaking on colonial rule in Puerto Rico. All right. I didn't know that we had a colony in Puerto Rico. At least I never called it a colony. But anyway, she's talking about Puerto Rico, and she said, I speak to you as a daughter and a descendant of a colonized people who have already begun to suffer because of Hurricane Maria. The climate change powered storm that killed over 3,000 Puerto Ricans, American citizens. My own grandfather died in the aftermath, all because of colonial rule. I don't understand what she's talking about when she starts talking about colonial rule. I thought that, um, you know, was a territory. That's what I thought. Puerto Rico was a territory. Maybe it is a colony. I don't know. Somebody tell me, anybody know, is Puerto Rico a colony or is it a territory, a United States territory? They have the right to vote. So you tell me. There's a donkey somewhere that's sad because AOC doesn't want kids. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Oh, and while I'm talking about it, right there, you see that knife? Knight's Armory. That's a great knife. That's a 120-year anniversary Army issue K-bar knife, the one they used to dig foxholes and to pound tin stakes and to fight with. So I picked that up from Knight's Armory. If you want a knife of any kind, a stiletto, a switchblade, an open closed pocket knife, a knife with 3 blades, whatever you're looking for, check out Knight's Armory. I promise you, he'll treat you right. He'll give you a good price, and he's really quick on getting the stuff in the mail and getting it to you. So, gave Knight's Armory a big shout out. That's why I hang his knife there, because I want everybody to see it. It's a beautiful knife. And we're winding down. I've got maybe 2 or 3 minutes left, and I've ran out of everything to say. So I'm not going to hold everybody here, but I do want you to remember we do have content creators in here. American Warhorse, Dangerous Freedom, DM and History B. Let's see who else we got in here. Liberty Smith has been putting some stuff out there. He likes to post a lot of InfoWars stuff. And I'm going to tell you, if you have any questions about anything InfoWars, you ask Liberty Smith. He's the guy with the plan on that. And God bless him. I love him to death. He's a good brother. Check out American Freedom Supply. Thank you, DM. I can never get that right. So if you want a knife from Knight's Armory, check out American Freedom Supply. That's Joe, Big American Joe. American Joe Show and Knight's Armory are together on that deal. So go there. Support both of them. Support American Joe Show and Knight's Armory. That's how I bought my knife. I bought it through that website. Of course, it was shipped from Big Jim at Knight's Armory. And so, I forget sometimes to mention American Freedom Supply. So thank you, DM, for that. I appreciate it. That's why you're the mod you are. So you cover me even when I don't know what I'm talking about. When I'm at a loss for words, I can always count on DM putting the stuff out there for people to see. And if you have content here, say so you have content. I mean, there's a lot of people here that do have content that I've just found out in the last little while that they have content. So you got to let us know. Let DM or Liberty Smith or Dangerous Freedom or anybody with a wrench, Ashley or anybody, let them know. And we'll be happy to put your URLs up here. Like American Warhorse. I'll tell you what, I love Manny to death. He's a good friend. He lives up in Virginia, I think. I could be wrong. But anyway, he's a northerner through and through. And here I am, a old Southern Belle, if I was a girl. But I was going to say I was a Southern Confederate and Belle came out somewhere. So hit that bell icon so I don't make a total fool of myself. But anyway, we got 2 minutes. Spirit Talker, you did make it. Spirit Talker was working today and he had a hard time getting back home, and he wasn't sure he's going to be able to make it tonight. But he made it here at the last 2 minutes. And Spirit Dancer's been here. Ben Stun, Philip Turner. Freedom Isn't Free. Manny just did a cool video on baseball. Man, Manny is a baseball player, brother. I mean, he's played ball all his life. He loves that stuff. He really does. He's talked to me several times after a game while he was still sitting in the dugout. Oh yeah, Manny's a big baseball guy. Everybody follow him, and Disabled Vets Perspective and Dangerous Freedom will be here with me Friday night at 8 p.m. And for once, I'm going to get to bounce stuff off of other people, and I'm not going to have to come up with all of the talking. So that's going to be a good thing for all of y'all. You won't have to put up with me for a full hour. I'm grateful to each and every one of you that came, to every one of you that stayed. It's 1 minute till, and I'm going to get out of here. And I'm going to let everybody get on there that wants to get on. I'll tell you what, people, support the patriots on this channel. Support this channel. And always remember, that God loves you and God is good. So I'm going to say good night. And I want everybody to bow your head real quick, real short prayer. God bless us, go with us, keep us. Lord, we thank you for your many blessings in your Son. So be it and amen. Everybody, y'all have a good night. Enjoy your Sunday evening. I want to thank you for being here once more. Vince Dunn, DM, Katrina Stafford, Linda Horner, Dangerous Freedom. Great people. I love you all. And it's 9 o'clock straight up. I try to be punctual. I'm out of here, guys. Love you. Talk to you later. It didn't want to stop for some reason. There we go. Hang on, people. I'm almost out of here.